So hi guys, this is kind of a makeup video for the Sidekicks live stream we did a little while ago. The audio was pretty terrible. We didn't realize in the OBS software, in the streaming software, that there's a setting. There's just like a dragging sort of meter for the volume.
Yes, it had nothing to do with the microphone. It was our settings fault.
Yeah.
And we deeply apologize for the poor quality.
It is watchable, but you gotta strain yourself to listen to it. So we made just like a makeup video to kind of explain basically sum up what we talked about.
So this is gonna be quite short.
Yeah.
But I hope we cover everything that we did talk about in the live.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, just put it in the comments and we'll try to get back to you either in the comment section or within our next live. So our previous live was about you and comics, like how you started. And these were the first comics, correct?
Yes.
That you drew.
Yes. Well, so these are the comics I made to sell and for other people to read.
Right.
I've made comics before this. So that was the comics I made before this were like the motivation to make these.
Okay, so this was, then let me rephrase it. It's sort of somewhat like professional comic.
I guess so, yeah.
Right? This was your very beginning.
Professionally photocopied comics.
At your dad's office.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So like, I've drawn for a long time. My dad used to draw, so I would, draw with him. And then, of course, I was reading comics because my parents bought me Japanese comics to improve my Japanese. So eventually I would be drawing or copying the comics that I was reading. And then, I had an older brother, so we would draw our own comics. And we would I remember we would get like unused notebooks from school, the lined ones. And we would each take turns drawing a panel.
Right.
So I would draw a panel.
And then you would give it to your brother?
Yeah, and then he would jam and he would he would continue the story in his own way.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because then what you're thinking of the story, how it turns out to be is totally different.
Sometimes we would talk about like which character was going to do what, and then he would, we would do it. But then some other times it was kind of, it was interesting to see what the other person would do.
Right.
So that was like, it was.
That was the very beginning.
It was the kernel of that sort of trying to make something entertaining for somebody else, other than yourself. And so from there, I think my brother was older than me, so he lost interest in this, and then I just kept doing it on my own time. There was no internet, so I had to make my own fun. And I think somewhere in first or second year of high school, I don't know what was the big motivation for me, but I just wanted to make comics, and I wanted to have other people that weren't my family or my friends read it. And so this was the very first comic.
Right. And so how old were you when you first
Probably like 14, 15.
14, 15.
Yeah.
So did you do it throughout your high school years?
I remember it was more of a thing I did for my senior years. So I was probably like writing the story and trying to perfect making one of these in my like earlier years, so like sophomore or something. And then probably started selling it in my third or fourth year of high school.
Right.
Yeah.
So you photocopied. Well, you would draw the squares, and then obviously draw the art.
Yeah.
And you would write the bubbles. These are your handwriting.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Usually, there's a script, and then you work off a script. But I think I didn't. I just started to break the panels. I wasn't really planning ahead so much.
Right.
Like I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do. So then I was just, how usually you watch me do layouts.
Yeah.
And then I finalize the pencils. But for this, I was just like, bam! The layouts were pretty much the pencils. And then I just went from there. So the cliffhangers and stuff I just kind of made up as I went along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, okay, so these were all black and white, but you did ink them, right?
Yeah, they're inked. I don't know what the hell I was using. I think I had G pens I brought from Japan at that time. And I only had one pack of them, so I would use the same nib forever until you couldn't use them very much anymore. But I remember at the time, I would go downtown. I grew up in the suburbs of Toronto, but I would go downtown to Toronto and then go to comic stores and see other people's zines. And so that was a huge motivator to me too, I remember. And it was a pretty big scene back then. And they had, I remember I attended one zine convention at the top of a bar. And so it was kind of like a super mini convention, And I don't recall paying anything to sit there, but it was fun to just see other creators and talk.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting part. Let's say I wanted to make comics today. I'm an amateur. I can't draw anything. Let's say I wanted to do it. I go to a comic book store and ask the owner, like, oh, this is my project, like this is my artwork. Can I put it in your store and can you give me half your earnings? Is that what you said?
I don't know. I remember I went in and then the guy was like, oh yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, doing comics. I was like, and there was a small section, right? And I was like, can I put my comic there? And he said, yeah, sure, man. Like,
so I mean, do you think that still works today?
I don't know. Yeah, depending on the store.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of places now I think they only focus on mainstream stuff because like that's the only way to make money.
Well, yeah. The other thing is it's different today because there's internet.
Yeah, you don't need
this paper comic
print
anymore.
Comics. Like, come on, it's such a waste of paper. But it was. I really don't remember how I did it. To be honest with you, like I just went there. Things happened. Eventually, it was a 50-50 deal at the store, and then I just kept going back once a month.
Right.
And so I didn't say like I was going to be back at the first of every month or anything like that. There's no schedule.
So how many copies would you leave it at the store?
Like 10 to 20. I went to 2 stores, and probably 20 copies each. So I probably made like 50. Yeah. And I got my dad to photocopy these at his work.
So let's look a little bit into your artwork.
Yeah.
So who inspired you to draw like this? Is there any comic artists that you looked up to back then? I was
really into Dragon Ball, and that's probably how I learned to draw, like copying Dragon Ball stuff. And then
yeah, I could kind of see that.
Yeah, and then by this time I was a little older, so I was reading like Appleseed and Ghost in the Shell and stuff, and so it was kind of a mix of those two.
What, like the backgrounds? Let's say.
I used a bit of tone, and it wasn't real tone. Like normal tone, you can cut it out and paste it on, and it's a very simple process. But I didn't want to waste the tone, so I only had one sheet, right? So then I would photocopy the tone, and then cut out on the physical page where I wanted it to be. So I would cut out, make it a negative space, and then paste the photocopied tone from the back. So I would basically ruin the original.
Right.
But,
But that's how.
Yeah, I didn't want to waste that single sheet of tone paper I had because it was expensive.
Yeah, but were you able to get that in Canada as well?
I remember at art stores they had Letraset, which is an American or Canadian version of it, and it was a little different, but the function was the same. But those things were like it's like $20 a sheet. And I remember I was like, oh, I can't
and you're
afford
still
this.
like 16.
Yeah, like it was like a pretty much like
you're
a quarter
only selling
of
this
my.
for $1.
Yeah, I know. It was a quarter of my allowance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then so my dad would get some on his business trips back from Japan, and I remember those were how I got the cool ones. So there's like the basic dot pattern, and then the ones my dad got were like cool, like wavy lines and more emotive screen tones. And so I tried to use those too.
So is this MIB completed?
No.
Oh.
I think 7 was the last one.
Right.
And then I just kind of lost interest in it.
So as you graduated high school, you didn't complete it, but you finished MIB.
Yeah, but I remember when I graduated, I already made contacts with people in Toronto, like other comic creators and other people that read my comics. So I had I had a base sort of contact list.
Okay.
And then I went to college, and so then I had to obviously stop drawing because I was partying and drinking too much in first year. But then I remember that's when I met I knew Jay already at that point.
Which goes on to the Sidekicks.
Yeah, Jay Torres is the writer, and we had met already before I graduated high school. But then we seriously started talking about doing sidekicks, probably around first year or second year of university. Yeah.
Okay. So wait, hold on. So Jay got in touch with you because he had your own address here. Like, how did? Yeah. There's no email, right?
Yeah. No. So, he must have just written me.
Okay, a letter.
Or maybe meet at a convention or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but it was probably a letter. Because I remember going downtown and he had a studio somewhere at the time, and I went to see him, and then there was all these other comic creators there, and that I know most of them still now, which is great. Like,
so you would say this is your first professional?
This was my first published work. No, actually, sorry. There was one other indie book before this, which was called Love in Tights, and that was through Slave Labor Graphics. I'm not sure if they're around still, but they were like indie publisher.
So this was your second work with Jay then?
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Yeah. Such a long time ago now, man. Wow. And this, like, I remember I had more access to tones and stuff. And
Alright, let's see some of your work here.
Yeah. You can see I was going crazy with the tone. I think it's because, like, I had a bit more money now because I was taking student loans. I was using student loan money for this.
Oh my god, look at the chest. This is also toning, right?
Yeah, it's all toning. And this is real toning. I wasn't cutting it and like photocopying and stuff. And that was all based on my first year university dorm. Right,
and you typed the letterings out and then put it in.
Yeah, I didn't have a computer, so I would have to.
How'd you type this in? Oh my god, don't tell me a typewriter.
No, I think I printed it out at my school copy center, and then I cut them out and pasted them.
Oh, is that why you worked at a copy center?
That was probably part of the reason, yeah. Like, I remember my first computer was in like third year, and that's when I bought my first scanner and stuff. But I don't think I didn't have Photoshop.
Right.
Yeah.
So if let's say you made a mistake with inking, how would you fix it? Whiteout?
Yeah, it'd be whiteout. There's no retouching or anything. So that's why that's right. The pages are pretty nice because I had to do it in one shot and I didn't want to make any mistakes. So what you
still
see,
have the originals?
Yeah, what you see here is what is actually on the page. It's probably my finest work out of my career. I was so careful.
So after this sidekick work, you went into Marvel.
So I did 3 issues of this, which was enough for a trade paperback. There's an earlier version than this, I think, with a white cover, and that was through CB's indie publisher. This is a second edition. This is through Oni. And then I left for Japan after I finished college.
Alright.
Yeah, and I was in Japan for 2 years. And in that time, I drew. I didn't have aspirations to keep drawing comics, but I drew like a one-shot for Oni Press, and I think I have a copy at my parents' house somewhere. But so that was very little output, right? And then after my 2 years in Japan, I came back to Canada, and then I didn't have a job. So then I think CB got in touch with me, and he's like, if you'd like to do comics at Marvel. I had all this experience, right? So it was just luck and timing, and I was so happy that I didn't have to like flip burgers and stuff.
Right. Well, a lot of the times when we do a live or when we post something up, sometimes we get questions about like what's the best way to get in touch with
editors and stuff.
Editors, publishers, and put your work out there.
Yeah.
I know it's a little different from your time to today because of all this networking, social media.
I mean, the basic principle I think is still the same. You create work and you try to get it out and shown as much as possible. So whether that's at a convention or like Twitter or Instagram or something like that, I mean, the principle is the same thing, right? So you just have to have the courage to show your stuff and have people say positive and negative things, and you learn from that. You learn more from negative things actually. So don't be scared to make mistakes and draw things poorly, because people will, honest people will let you know.
So from Sidekicks to today, or even from MIB, how did you improve your drawing?
Just probably incrementally. Like I knew what sort of look I was going for, but sometimes the storytelling wasn't catching up, or you know, I don't. Even now, like I still have a vague picture of what I'm striving for, you know, and it's constantly changing too because I'm seeing other artists and being inspired by their work and you know, so it's a constant kind of fluid thing that's happening. But as long as I'm kind of changing in the direction that I want, then I feel happy. And you know, I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again until I'm like 60 or something. That'd be pretty sad. So you know, just evolving is part of becoming an artist. So that's pretty much how I got to working at Marvel, and from there I was, you know, Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, and we talk about that in a different video. Yeah, it's kind of like a mix of luck and timing and meeting the right people, and if that's, you know, if you could use that as an example, if you'd like to become a comic artist, you know, that would make me very happy.
I hope this video helps some people and got to know a little bit more about you. There are a lot of people who do ask questions like what kind of tools he uses. So we are going to cover that in another video. Hopefully we'll get a permission to shoot inside the stationery store.
Oh yeah, there's one that I go to all the time.
Right, and I hope we could show it to you guys. So till then.
Yep. So I'll see you guys next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.